I am a recovering perfectionist. Yes, I said it. A few years ago, I will have conducted extensive research, read studies, and provided you with the latest statistics on perfectionism to make sure that I spoke perfectly on this topic. I might have even recorded this video 10 times before posting it to ensure every detail met my standards of perfection. But back then, I made a promise to myself that I will not go back to my old ways and will focus on progression rather than perfection. So in this video, I want to share with you the wisdom that I've gained from years of striving for perfection, what I've learned about it, and how I overcame perfectionism through 6 key steps. I will also share with you some practices that I've implemented to stop procrastinating, save time, and be okay with imperfection and move forward with more compassion. And if I can do it, so can you. Hi, my name is Noemi and I help people create a life they fall in love with every day by tapping into their intuition, creative power, and higher self. If this is something that resonates with you, hit that subscribe button. So perfectionism has been both my greatest gift and my biggest curse. It helped me become detail-oriented in my work, but it also stopped me from taking many actions. It led me to overthink, procrastinate, and ultimately it made me lose confidence, time, and passion. And I've held myself back from starting new projects, publishing my work, and even launching this YouTube channel. I spent countless hours reviewing, editing, adding, and removing things because I set such high standards for myself that were impossible to achieve. And my family and friends often told me, do it anyways, or done is better than perfect. And hearing this used to make me feel so frustrated. I used to think that people don't understand what it's like to be a perfectionist. They made it seem so easy to take action without worrying about the details. And those details were like my life. And I constantly felt that my work was never good enough and that I could always do better because I knew deep down that I had the potential. But my truth is that I became better at what I do when I finally let go of the burden of perfection, because I gave myself a chance to succeed. So let me walk you through the different steps that I took to free myself from perfectionism. Step 1, understand perfectionism and respond with compassion. So when I was younger, people around me used to say that I had so much potential, but I wasn't exploiting it, that I was wasting my life, and that I was a lost cause. And my teachers and family compared me with others. And I grew up believing that I could always do better and that it was never enough. I was constantly reminded that I wasn't perfect. And my response to this was protection through perfection, because I believed that if I looked and did everything perfectly, I could avoid judgment and stay safe and protected. And this was my subconscious inner dialogue. I was incredibly afraid of judgment and rejection, and I was also afraid of failing. Failing wasn't an option for me because my mind associated failure with shame, blame, and judgment. So if I was perfect, I couldn't fail and I will be protected. So understanding where your perfectionism comes from helps you acknowledge that there is nothing wrong with you. It proves that you've been programmed to believe that you should be perfect. And shedding light on where my perfectionism came from and understanding that it was an act of protection rather than rejection helped me be more compassionate with myself and quiet the inner critic running through my head. So learn to recognize your perfectionist thoughts and write them down if it helps. I know that for me, it's my voice saying, you should do more, it could be better, let's research just a little bit more on this topic, or let's do it one more time, or this person already talked about this topic, it's not going to be better anyway. So I've developed the habit of recognizing these thoughts and stopping them in the moment. These thoughts lead to disappointment, and I believe that you can respond to disappointment with either punishment or compassion. It's your choice. So now when my perfectionist kicks in, I catch it and I put a hand on my heart and I say, all is well, it's good enough. Having a mantra can really help dissipate the effect of perfectionism. And I also like to remind myself that nothing is permanent. The work that I produce today will evolve tomorrow. So I tell myself it's okay to do it this way now. And I know I will do even better next time. It's just part of my evolution. So when you respond with compassion, you let go of what could have been and you create space for growth, joy, and improvement. Step 2, get clear on your idea of perfection. Someone once asked me, what does perfection mean to you? How do you know when something is good enough? And I remember replying, I don't know. I just see it and I feel good about it. I guess it's a feeling. And at that moment, I realized that I had no idea of what perfection looked like to me. And I was living in an eternal dissatisfaction for not being able to reach standard that didn't even exist. So how do you know when something is good enough for you? What are your standards? Can you get a clear picture of it? When I realized that I had no idea of what my standards are, I revisited my past work and projects. And I looked at articles I've written, I looked at pictures I took, I looked at videos I've made, and even collaboration work. And I found mistakes and flaws everywhere that I hadn't noticed before. And this helped me realize that I made a lot of mistakes that I overcame. Revisiting your past project and work can help you realize that you were never perfect from the start, but you've learned and you've progressed and you've improved over time. Step 3, fall in love with draft. The core issue of perfectionism is that I've based my self-worth on my achievements and I relied on others to validate my work. And a lot of what I was doing wasn't even for myself, it was for others. I was creating things to please others, not myself. So I wasn't having any fun in what I was doing. And it felt inauthentic because it wasn't coming from my soul. So I stopped. I literally stopped creating for others and started creating for myself. Every day for 2 months, I wrote and spoke on videos about themes that inspired me, and I never published or showed them to anyone. I still do this until today. And I have hundreds of pages and videos of raw, unedited story where I talk to myself. So fall in love with imperfection, fall in love with draft. When you let things be raw, unedited, unpolished, and imperfect, you create a relationship of unconditional love with the most vulnerable part of yourself, the part that fears rejection and looks for protection. You realize that letting go of perfection means nothing more than releasing the illusion that you can control how others perceive you. Step 4, practice leaving things half done on purpose. This is a practice I've been doing for a while now, and it has trained my mind to be okay with imperfection. For example, when I go to the gym and lift weight, I usually do 12 to 16 reps. What I've done is that sometimes I'm gonna do 7 reps on one set and 14 on another. And similarly, I usually do 15 minutes of cardio at the end of my workout, but sometimes I'm just gonna do 8 minutes. It might not be optimal for my physical health, but it is for my mind. And I really don't do that all the time though. And sometimes what I do is that I don't read my emails 5 times to check for mistakes. I just write them and send them. I also set my alarm for 6:44 a.m. or 7:03 a.m. It might sound crazy, but this worked for me because my mind gets used to see imperfection. And when I write for myself, I sometimes leave the text half done. This used to be very uncomfortable for me, and it might be for you at first. But sit with your feelings. What's the worst that can happen? Feel it all and let it go. It really showed me that when I let things go unfinished and imperfect, nothing major happens. It helped me build the habit of being more spontaneous too. And you can start with small things at first, nothing too important. 5. Remove the pressure of time. I've tried to force myself to get things done in a specific amount of time, but forcing is not my thing. I prefer flowing. And I realized that putting even more pressure on myself led to nothing authentic coming out of my work. So instead, I've decided to do the opposite and take all the time I want. It might sound counterproductive, but it removes a lot of pressure. You already have the pressure you put on yourself to make things perfect, and if you add the pressure of time to it, it just increases stress and anxiety. And I believe we perform best when we feel relaxed, creative, and energized. So whatever you want to create, believe there is a divine timing for it, as long as you intend to create it. I always intended to create this YouTube channel, but I didn't want to do it with pressure and force myself to get it done. I wanted to create it and live it as a fun experience. So I kept cultivating this intention and combined it with the feeling of fun and joy. And every week I will do a quick visualization where I will see myself starting this channel and feeling grateful, joyful, and happy about it. And this led me to where I am today, speaking to you. Step number 6, strive for excellence, not perfection. Perfection is led by self-judgments. Excellence is driven by courage. When you let go of perfection, you give yourself permission to be authentic and attract people who match your energy. Excellence calls for constructive feedback. There is a quote by Brené Brown from her book, The Gift of Imperfection, that states, "Healthy striving is self-focused. How can I improve?" And perfectionism is other-focused. What will they think? No matter what we do, others will judge us. That's just how the world is. So adopting a mindset focused on improvement can help you choose and listen to the people who will support you on your journey. You can always decide to listen to the opinion of those who haven't achieved half of what you have done and base your work's worth on their comments. Or you can choose to listen to experts in your industry who possess the wisdom and experience you seek. I've surrounded myself with people in my field with 10, 20, and 30 years more experience than me. And I've asked them to review some of my work and project, and it truly helped me establish more trust within myself and improve my work. I've developed the habit of showing some of my project and ideas early, not after reviewing them 10 times. And I've been surprised by how people actually perceive my work. I can tell you that we are our own worst critics. Final advice, make art and think like an artist. Ceramics reminds us of the beauty of imperfection. Gardening shows us that nature is imperfectly perfect. And I personally love doing abstract painting. I sometimes take a whiteboard and all the colors I can find and let my heart guide me. The result is not always beautiful, but it always makes me feel good, and it's a great form of self-expression. I also want to remind you that letting go of perfectionism is a constant work in progress. It's a practice to adopt. Right now, I wish I could give you more key points and practices, but I'm going to stop here because I know that I will do even better next time. Remember that our imperfections makes us human, unique, and authentic. Without them, the world would be so boring. So let's embrace them with love. And if this video was helpful for you, please like and subscribe. Thank you.